Hey everybody. I would like to walk you through some of the places you can look for responsible research. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is Stark State Library into our search bar. I imagine you use Google, maybe you're someone who uses Bing. If you are, what's that like? Okay, so it's the easiest way to get to the Stark State Digital Library. Your quote unquote tuition pays for access to a number of very useful databases that hopefully you learned about in College Comp. And if I had you last semester, you definitely learned about these. But just to cover that ground for anyone who needs a refresher or who maybe doesn't remember or retain that sort of information as easily as others. So you click on the blue button to go to the digital library. Then you have all these different disciplines to work in. So you can use any of these databases at any time, which is really nice. So even if you're working on a class, for your school, you can still conduct some research, some secondary research through Stark State. So this is an English class. We will stick with English. That will pop you out to, you see Bill here. That's how you know you're in English land. Now, this is important, you all need to log in from off campus, unless you are actually here on campus like I am right now. You need to use your login and password just like you used to get into, your email, your Angel, My Stark State, all that stuff. You just log in that way. I believe you have to select a campus. Tech, you guys know tech better than I do, so I'm assuming you can figure out a login. So let's just have a look at a few of these. My favorite is right here, Academic Search Complete. So watch this lag. When I click on this, there's a little bit of a see how it takes a little longer than a typical website? That's EBSCOhost, this massive corporation charging Stark State variable fund. It depends. Some semesters it's 7 cents. Some it's as high as like 30 cents. I think I've read. Every time anybody clicks on this, access to this database. So I just, in doing so, EBSCO just rang us up for whatever 7 cents. So it's expensive, therefore it's good, right? There's a lot to like about Academic Search Complete. One of its best features is all the different ways you can modify your search. So you can click on scholarly peer-reviewed journals. I think that limits it just a little bit, so I'm not going to click on it now. We can go straight to English. That's no problem. Full text is the one I would definitely suggest you all click on. That way you have instant access to every article that comes back. So I don't know. I always like using what are called Boolean terms. I don't know. I think it's a very old term. When I was in grad school, that's what we called searching for two terms at once. So they called them Booleans. So let's say I'm big on arts education. Yeah, so I think we lose something very vital when we don't teach kids about art. I'm someone who learned about art very late in life, or later in life than maybe I should have, and that's half my fault because I didn't pay attention in my art classes as a K-12 student and as an undergraduate, but also because those classes weren't as offered or they weren't staffed as well as they could have been. So I'm very big on arts education. Art has been a very rewarding aspect of my life that I didn't even know was something that would be interesting to me. So I like arts education. But I also need to add technology in some way to this search engine anyway, or the search process. So arts education and technology, let's see what comes back. And you can also add a third one if you want to as well, high schools or, females or, any other way you want to narrow it. But look, so 756 full text articles have just come back. Consciousness displaced. Okay, technology, arts, education in South Africa. Mutant collaborations. Doesn't that sound interesting? The arts and education as police technologies. How interesting. You can click on really any of these. I don't know, let's say I like looking towards the future. That's what good conclusions to essays do. So towards 2020, future directions in art education. So right now we can tell this is from the Canadian Review of Art Education. So a Canadian source, is it as useful as maybe an American, like a domestic source? Maybe, maybe not. You'd have to read it to find out. So you can read it. You click on full text over here and boom, let's see. Oh, we have a little bit of a French option here. How Canadian of us. Let's see. So maybe this isn't okay. Yeah, this happened in France. So you can see this is a long-ish article, a couple pages, maybe a dozen or so pages, about arts education. And it's not the only one. What you can also use, of course, is art studying and teaching, any sort of search terms that you deem useful. So anything you find in here is going to be valid, credible as a source, because it's going to largely come from journals. So if we look here, a Journal of Speculative Research. Oh, that sounds right up my alley. And it just came out in December. just a few weeks ago, essentially. So how interesting, right? Speculative research. So once you lock into a topic, once you start looking around for what's out there, it's really on you to get smarter about that topic. And the best way to do that is to just soak it all up. You do have to read all of these articles. No, you don't. But sooner or later, you're going to come across an article or two that are very useful to you. And from there, you can continue your search. You can, it's always a good idea to look at sources that you find useful. Look at that source's references page, its works cited or its references page, and use it. It's called springboarding. You springboard from one source to the next. Really good way to do things. So there's Academic Search Complete. I wholly endorse it. That's wholly with a W. Okay, we're going to skip over Literary Reference Center because this isn't a lit class. Opposing Viewpoints Resource Center is yet another very useful database. So what I do is I just usually go right to Browse Issues. You can search up here. You can also use academic journals. You can refine by academic journals or by primary sources. How cool is that? You can just look at all of the different topics that are here. Should I zoom this in maybe a little bit? Let's see. Literacy, local food movement. That's always interesting to me. Let's see. I'm trying to find one that has a little bit of a technology sort of aspect to it. I think bioterrorism maybe would give you some ideas about technology and sort of safety issues in America or worldwide. Okay, so look at all these onlines. There we go. This is what I was looking for. Ooh, it's funky. Okay, online education, online ethics, online gambling, music trading, pornography, social networks, and organ transplantation. So let's go to social networks. I like to do this sort of blind. I could have prepared all this, but I like to see where things go. The process of discovery, I think, is just as interesting as anything else. So online social networks. So on this page are featured viewpoints, academic journals, stats, primary sources, news, reference materials, magazines, websites, interactive maps, videos, images, audio, and springboarding off to related topics. So my goodness, how useful, right? So they have featured viewpoints. These are, mirrors, violence in music videos mirrors violence in society. So it's one way to take it, right? Using bots and automation can be akin to spamming. Again, fascinating. The implications of social media for parliamentary. I have to see where this goes. Another Canadian source. You can listen to the whole thing. You can have it read to you. How nice is that? I bet you have some ways to tweak that where you can have it read to you in like Australian English. Does social media present a substantive challenge to parliamentary procedure? Okay, so does the government get in the way of, or does technology get in the way of government? I think it's interesting. So anyway, there's five different instances of statistics. 1 second, take a drink. If any of you have any suggestions on how to make Streamcast more interesting than just me talking into a microphone, I'm so interested. What's most useful, I would imagine, here are news sources. Look, almost 38,000 news sources, 1,200 magazine articles. Primary, what is up with the Canadian stuff that keeps coming up? So you have audio, you have images. That's one of your invention journals from, I guess from last week. But Facebook roommates, you can see cartoons. 111 videos about social networks. So you see, again, one of the things that you want to be is an expert in whatever topic you choose. You want to be an expert in it. You want to be smarter than the people that are reading your essay and people that are not writing on your topic. So opposing viewpoints in context is a wonderful way to get really smart on a topic. Whoa, zoomed the wrong way. All right, so there's that way to go. You also have, we've done Academic Search Complete. We're not going to do the MLA because that's Modern Language Association. That's literature as well. What we will look at again, or now, is the CQ Researcher, which comes from CQ Press. They have a little blurb here about why you should care about them. Oops, let's see. Award-winning in-depth coverage, experienced journalists, footnoted and professionally fact-checked. These are things I'm going to be looking for. Your research essay is only going to be as successful as your weakest source. So if you have questionable sources without authors, general websites, that sort of thing, those are huge red flags to academic readers like myself. So you want stuff that is fact-checked. You want stuff that is thoroughly vetted and edited. And CQ Researcher is going to lead you to a lot of those. The topics themselves are slightly more limited in their scope. You can see there's far fewer topics than the opposing viewpoints database. Not a big deal either way. It's still a jumping off point. So let's see, these change every day. So again, that's why I can't, and by the time I'm done making this screencast, I'll have to make another one for my summer classes. So I clicked on science and technology because that's the general theme of the class. So let's see, computers and the internet. Let's go to, because I tend to teach this class not so much from a hard sciences perspective because I'm no good at hard sciences at all. You should see my organic chemistry grades from undergraduate. So I like to keep things on sort of the social tip, I guess. Transactional or transnational crime, big data and privacy. I know a few of you are thinking of writing on that. Cybersecurity, internet shopping. Let's pick one. Let's just keep with the theme of social media. Social media explosion. Okay. Do social networking sites threaten privacy rights? So this is kind of the featured article, right? So look, there's a full report. There's intro, overview, background, the current situation, pro, con. Oh, this is the chronology. Check this out. Look at this timeline for social network. So, I mean, good essays, especially research essays, they do provide a great deal of context in order to, give their readers an idea of the scope of the subject they're dealing with. So it would be very wise of you to provide some very brief but useful timeline. So you can also see that these things are sort of their issues. What was the issues that came up in 1998 are going to be very different than the issues that come up, how many years later is that? Many years later, let's say. 15 years, more than that, 17 years. So look, MySpace is founded in 2003. How interesting, right? Remember MySpace? You might not. I remember MySpace. I had a MySpace page. Okay, so anyway, there's a whole timeline here. Short features, maps, and graphs. A lot of the same features as opposing viewpoints, but just from maybe a different perspective or using different sources. So what else can I tell you? I can show you one other, news.google.com. Oops, I spelled Google wrong. How dare I? All right, so news, Google News, and again, this is today's layout, today's interface. It's probably going to look different by the time you go to it, whenever that is, but whenever it is you're watching the screencast. But you can go, you can narrow it down a little bit. You used to have the ability to narrow down by state. That doesn't seem to be an option now. Google's always messing with stuff. So let's see, technology, and let's see what comes up. Society and stuff, education, communication, healthcare, ethics. So let's go to education. Let's see what comes up. These are things that are in the news hours ago, right? Days ago, okay, February 14th, February 23rd. Not super up to date. I thought there might be something a little more in the news like today. 6 emerging trends driving technology and education. So you got campus technology. Look, an author. Very good. You always want to have an author. You always want sources that are, recently published. So, burden is on universities' advanced culture of innovation to foster environments that accelerate learning and creativity. Creativity. Boys, I get lost in the shuffle and all the, Common Core, all the stuff you all are going through, standardized testing. A lot of that stuff is starting to trickle its way upward to my, higher education, to my line of work. I'll let that sigh speak for itself. So anyway, news.google.com is a fine place to go. There are other websites that are useful, but none is going to be as instantly sort of academically responsible as these databases. So it is my very strong encouragement that you not stray from sources that you don't find on these databases. They'll be up to date enough. Now, for some of the sort of the cutting edge, if you want to write, if you're writing on like cyberbullying, maybe that's another example. Go back to news.google.com. Netflix keeps coming up first. What does that tell you about my priorities when I'm at work? Let's see. Let's see what BR. Let's see. Cyberbullying. Maybe there'll be an example. Sometimes you need to pull something right from the news. Cyberbullying takes its toll on college students. Yik Yak. And all the cyberbullying that comes from sort of anonymous Twitter accounts. Maybe that's a way to go. I know anonymous Twitter accounts can often. Well, maybe not. Okay, well, anyway, Google News is going to give you like super up to date stuff. So, sometimes you're going to need to pluck sort of from the headlines type examples, and Google News is going to be a little better because edited stuff takes a while to come out. The stuff that's on Academic Search Complete, those things tend to be scholarly peer-reviewed journals, and those take months and months to be vetted and edited and so forth. So, and sometimes you want a very contemporary example. So, as I'm wrapping this up, let me know if you have any questions. If you ever want to double-check a source with me, please do so before I have to grade your final drafts of your research project. It's way down the path in the future, and so as I'm very clumsily ending this screencast, please just let me know how things are going for you, and I hope this was helpful.